I want to make one of those really clean time-lapse videos on a Markforged printer. But in order to do that, I'm going to need to retrofit that printer with a shutter switch, which is the exact kind of challenge that gets a lot easier when you have a 3D printer available. So let me show you how this works. First thing I did is I found a perfect spot to mount a lever switch to get triggered by the gantry on the printer. And I found a small switch and a jack to connect a shutter cable to my camera. Created some simple models in SolidWorks and put it all together where I needed it so that I could design the perfect part. Now, I'm envisioning a real simple box to enclose the components and the wiring. I'll mount it to the printer with one of those Velcro strips so I don't have to drill any holes, and I'll keep a leg on the backside to stabilize it from any side load when it hits the gantry. The wall thickness is really thin. It's a tiny little box, so if you refer to the composite design guide, I can find that a suitable thickness will print successfully as long as it's a multiple of the layer width. That'll help avoid any gaps and give you a nice clean finish. I'll add a platform to position the switch at the height I need, and it kind of bugs me that there's this thick solid section in there. Since I'm kind of used to designing for injection molding, normally I'd hollow that out, but for 3D printing, big fat sections like this are really totally fine. It might take a bit of practice to kind of adjust your mindset and your design habits to 3D printing since it's a new type of manufacturing. I'll add a couple bosses to capture the switch itself, but I'm kind of worried about the height on these skinny vertical posts. I had considered switching over to like metal dowels, but again, the design guide gives me some recommended height to diameter ratio for these unsupported columns, and I'm well within that safety range here. But just to be safe, I split them in half. So I'm going to put half of it on one part and then half on the other lid so that they'll marry up when they're installed. For the jack on the side, I just need a hole. And if you make a hole in the side with a 45-degree triangular peak on it, you can skip the supports during printing, which is a pretty popular trick you'll see a lot of times with design for additive manufacturing. To hold the lid on, I'm going to use some wood screws. They're really simple, and I found that if you just use a tap drill for that size, it gives you a good pilot hole for those screws, and they work great when they don't need to be structural. Now this box should give me plenty of room for wire, so I'll just need to do a little bit of soldering and testing on that circuit, then I'll assemble it all up and get it installed. The final piece of the puzzle was trying to figure out how to position the gantry so that I could get a clear shot of the table. And for that, I created a really simple part, kind of a column that's the same height as the part that I'm printing. And I located it where I wanted the head to be during the shot. And because it's up against the edge, it'll automatically trigger the shutter with each print pass, so I can get a clear, perfect shot for every single layer. I have a limited amount of time to get this project up and running. There's a supply store down the street that had everything I need, and since I'm working with a 3D printer, I could design everything around the parts. I actually did this in the hotel overnight, and then sent it to the printer before I went to bed. That means the part was ready in the morning, and I was able to put it together and retrofit the machine and actually start using it the following day. As someone who used to retrofit machines for a living, this is a game-changing workflow. I remember spending so much time trying to search for a really specific bracket that would match the sensor size I needed, that would fit the space available in the orientation with the adjustment range I needed. By doing this with a printer, you can print these durable brackets or housing. It's almost like cheating. The results look fantastic. It's exactly what I need. And if you build or operate equipment, you know there's always some kind of a need to mount or locate or secure something, like a sensor, a hose, a nozzle, or a switch. With a Markforged printer in the shop, you can quickly and easily mount anything securely with a durable bracket or a housing designed specifically for your needs. If you see value in being able to respond this quickly to any production challenge you may face, give us a call and learn more about Markforged today.